It is high. It is far. It is Sunday, December the 21st, 2025. This is Coffee with Frankie. This is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. Gotta love coffee on a Sunday morning. Let me know out there in internet land if we can see and hear me okay. Check these settings over here. Looks okay by me. Let me know if you can see and hear me out there. Coffee with Frankie on Sunday. You never know with the technology, it could break at any moment. And we have to be ready for that. Todd says, howdy. Phil says, okay, audio visual 100%. All right. Well, we got a very interesting Sunday morning. The round one of the college football playoffs are over. Some teams are moving on, and some teams are moving on out for their season. And the teams that lost, that means we will find out soon what their players who could potentially come into the NFL are going to do. Some will declare for the draft. Some will declare for the portal. Some will declare to come back to their school. And so for all those teams, we'll know a bunch more people who's coming into the draft, which is good. Phil Adams wants to know about the grades. Yeah, and Alan Dodds has it right here. Look at old Alan Dodds, New Paltz graduate. See, these New Paltz graduates, you got to really appreciate a New Paltz graduate. Because, after all, those are the smartest people on earth. Now, Alan Dodds says, look, if you're an Inner Circle member, you get all the grades. Not only, whether it's Dante Moore, John Mateer, all right? You want to know about, what? Fernando Mendoza? We got all the grades. You get all the grades for the games, and then you get to see what they are for the season. Are they improving? Are they regressing? What's happening? And you get a whole lot more if you join the Inner Circle with the Join button down below. We got prices for any budget. For as little as $2 a month, you can support this channel. And remember, the things you don't support disappear. That's how it works in the market. Good morning to the Frankie fam. Thank you for joining on this glorious Sunday. Yeah, Phil Adams, frequent commenter on this channel, not joining the Inner Circle. You got to wonder what's going on with old Phil Adams with that one. This is Spin Max Dave, another member of the Inner Circle. Good morning, Dave. I still like Mendoza. Well, he didn't do anything in in round one, but yeah, he's going to remain that way. But the nice thing that happened yesterday, Dave, is that Dante Moore played really well. And in fact, somebody has it here. Oh, yeah. Dodds. Yeah, right here. So Dodds knows because he's a member of the Inner Circle. But Dante Moore got an A in that game. It was one of the best games of the year in terms of grading quarterbacks. And so that's what we wanted to see. And Dante Moore got another win, another game under his belt, and he won, and he played well. So now he's going to get another game under his belt. That'll be his 19th career start. Hopefully he wins that one. And then he gets to play another game, and that'll be number 20. And that may just be enough to allay some concerns about the number of games started. That's really the only issue with Dante Moore is his young age and the number of games he started. The man's 20 years old. And last night was 18th start of the career. Now he's going to get number 19. Hopefully he wins that, gets up to 20. But even as they told you on the broadcast, if you watched the game, his decision is going to be, is going to be one of the biggest dominoes in this whole process. And guess who was broadcasting the game? Old Bobby Wischusen, the Jets broadcaster. And he was making a joke about, well, he's already wearing green. And the color commentator was Louis Riddick, very good color commentator and well-known talent evaluator. So yeah, he got an A. Simpson did well as well. We want Ty Simpson to do well and to keep going as well because we want him to consider coming into the draft. And he'll probably really only do that if he plays really well and Alabama continues to go on a run. Because he's similar to Moore in that his lack of experience is a knock against him. But he's 23 years old, so his situation's a little different. And also, he's not as good as Moore, and he's not as high of a prospect. But we want him to come in. We want him to do well and come in because the more first round type of quarterbacks that are in the draft, it helps us. Todd says, hey, everybody hit the like button. Yeah, one thing you could do, you could join the Inner Circle, but that costs money. You might not have $2 a month to spend on the Inner Circle. But one thing you could do that's free is hitting the like button. We appreciate that, Todd. Jets Worldwide has joined. Look at this. People are joining as we speak. Good job, Jets Worldwide. And I'll tell you and everybody else who's a member. You know, we got the Inner Circle, but we also got the Inner Square. We got the Inner Triangle. We might even get something else, like an inner hypotenusal rectoid. Well, maybe we'll have the inner rhombus. I don't know. But I will tell everyone, check out the posts tab on this channel. That's where all the communication happens, and sometimes YouTube doesn't send you an alert. So make sure your alerts are on, number one, in case they do send you an alert. But just kind of periodically check out the posts tab. That's where I'm going to post a lot of info, a lot of insider info. Not only the grades, but, you know, it's all sorts of stuff. That's the primary method of communication to the Inner Circle members. Venom is here. He says, good morning. Good morning, beautiful people, as Chris Banjo would say. Good morning, beautiful people. Spin Max Dave, not to take anything from Dante Moore, but they only beat an overmatched JMU, and he threw 2 picks. Well, yeah, but he got an A. And one of the picks was a tip ball, Spin Max Dave. That's why you got to watch the games. And also, so throwing an interception doesn't negate all of the elite throws that he made. Now, the other thing is, yeah, JMU is not high competition. We understand that. But that's why you got to watch the whole season. And you got to grade out all of the games. So we're not just saying he's an A because he beat JMU. We're saying we've watched all the games. You understand? Venom, Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, Merry Christmas. It snuck up on us. The inner trapezoid. Yeah, maybe we'll have an inner trapezoid. I'll have an inner trapezoid. Jets Worldwide. I looked for the inner triangle prism, but I couldn't find it. Yeah, well, we're still developing. You know, I would say, I mean, it's not a finished product. We're a young channel here. We just got up to 1,000 subscribers, so thank you to all the subscribers. We're now over 1,000. That's good. Now we got to get up to 10,000. But we also need a strong base of foundation of financial support known as the membership into the channel. Those folks get the priority. They get their questions answered. No matter how stupid they may be, they get the priority. They can ask for things; they will most likely get them. If you want a video on something, you put it into one of the comments on the post, the members only post, and I'll almost certainly do it, unless it's some crazy thing that I can't do. Because the membership of the channel is really the foundation of what we do here. They're the best. They're like the founders. So, yeah. Venom says, if the Giants finish with the first pick, do you think the Jets trade up? Probably, yeah. It depends. As always, it depends. But if the Giants are at 1 and we want to go to 1, yeah, then we will trade up with them. We got to see what plan Muji puts in place. I mean, one of the things that we got to watch right now is How many of our own dudes does he get signed? We got 2 of them in? Okay, good. How many more does he sign? How many more holes does he fill by re-signing pending free agents? So we got to see that play out. Then March comes along, and we got to see what the plan is at quarterback. What we're going to sign some veteran because Tyrod's probably not going to be here. Justin Fields, from all the reports we're seeing, probably not going to be here. Brady Cook will be here. But if you're just sitting there in the offseason and let's say you trade, if we get rid of Fields, I hope we can trade him for something. But nonetheless, if he's off the roster and Tyrod doesn't seem like he's coming back, and you're sitting there and all you got is Brady Cook, that's not a great way to enter the draft. So we got to sign a veteran, and it depends who that veteran is and how much money we give them. One of the interesting ones could be One of the interesting ones could be uh, Malik Willis. What if this is an idea that started to percolate last night as Malik Willis took over for Jordan Love with a concussion, and he played really well, but then the Bears had a sort of a miracle comeback. Everybody's kind of glazing up Ben Johnson. I mean, his team has won the most luckiest games I've ever seen. Most luckiest? The luckiest games I've ever. But nonetheless, the Bears are winning, so they're happy. Okay, good. But nonetheless, what about Malik Willis? Malik Willis is a pending free agent. If he starts looking good down the stretch, let's say Love is injured and can't play, and Willis balls out these last few games here, Malik Willis is a guy, people have forgotten about him, but he had first-round talent, and he was he dropped in the draft because he needed to be developed. Well, what if the Packers did all the development for us? What if he's developed now? That would be an interesting one. You get a first-round talent, and you have the Packers do the development, because we can't do that, obviously. And he's going to be a free agent, so we don't have to trade with him. And that could be the veteran we give another tryout to. And you probably don't have to give him that much money. Probably give him $12 million. He's yours. Maybe even less, because he doesn't have that much of a resume. Now, would it be risky? Yeah. Any guy that you acquire as a free agent is going to be risky, because they wouldn't be a free agent if they weren't risky. But that's one that could make a lot of sense. Now, I think a lot of teams might be looking at Malik Willis going, that might be something. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers, for example. A team like the Steelers, what are they going to do at quarterback next year? They're going to bring back Rodgers? I don't know if Rodgers wants to come back. And they right now have the 20th pick in the draft, so they cannot get up, most likely, to get one of the top guys in the draft. So what the heck are the Steelers going to do? They might look at a guy like Malik Willis and go, oh, there's our guy, and they might overpay for him. Because that's their only path, really. They don't have a lot of tradable assets like we do. So it's hard they can't really trade for one. They're too far down in the draft order. They're 20th right now to get one that way. And so, that would be competition for him. But the other teams, that need a quarterback that are high up in the draft, like the Raiders and the Browns, they would probably just like to take Mendoza or more and just go that way if they're going to acquire one. And then you have the Cardinals. That's a big, maybe they would like Malik Willis. Miami, what are they going to do? Who's going to wind up with Tua? It's looking like that's going to be a divorce. So it's going to be an interesting offseason. But everybody else either has a quarterback or has a plan. Like the Colts, they don't technically have a quarterback, but they'll probably just re-sign Daniel Jones and just run it back with Anthony Richardson and Jones as the backup plan, right? Everybody else has a quarterback. Looking at the list here, the Rams really need Stafford to come back. He's having an MVP season. Why not come back for one more? Everybody else has their quarterback, or they're really high up in the draft and they could get Mendoza or more, or Simpson would be the number 3. So that's an intriguing one. Jets Worldwide. The Packers need Willis. Well, he's a free agent, Jets Worldwide, so they're not going to get him. Malik Willis is going to go, thank you for developing me. Now I want to be a starter. He's not going to start over Jordan Love. So he's going to be a free agent. I would say they're not going to, he would be stupid to re-sign with them, especially if he shows out in the next few games. Let's say, we don't know how long Love is going to be out, but let's say he is out for a game or two or three. If Malik Willis plays really well, he's leaving. He's out of there because somebody's going to pay him to be a starter and probably overpay because there's such a talent dearth. So I think he's going to the market. Phil Adams, oh yeah. Sunshine says, I think Tua has some hip injury. Or he's just terrible. This is kind of who he is. You know, the years where he was good, he was carried by Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That's what it was. They called him 2-yard Tua. Basically, you just throw a speed out to one of these guys, and Tyreek Hill's the fastest man on earth, and nobody can catch him. And he gets all those yards, you know? But he does get injured all the time. He has all those concussion problems. He came into the league with a hip problem. He's had tons of injuries throughout the years. So you got an injured guy with a noodle arm, and who makes mistakes a lot, and you have to have the perfect situation around him for him to be successful. Is that someone you should give $55 million to? I don't think so. But somebody would probably want him for $5 million as a backup. $10 million as a backup, something like that. But I don't think he's a starter in the league. And most guys are not starters. It's really hard. It's really hard from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint, from all the things you got to do, from as consistent as you got to be for as long of a period of time as you got to be, taking all those hits, taking all that mental load. It's not easy. And so that's why most of these dudes wind up being backups. I mean, look at the entire class of the Zach Wilson class, 2021, or whatever that was. Only one starter in there. In the five freaking dudes in the first round, one starter. Everybody else backups. And Trevor Lawrence, who was supposed to be generational, has been meh. That's a generational. The guy got the highest grades of any quarterback coming out of high school in the history of history, and he's meh. Meh. 5-star, highest grade ever, generational, meh. That's the NFL, man. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy being green. This should be the Jets song, really. It's not easy being green. But right now we have the 5th overall pick, but it's not for certain that we stick there. Arizona's also, we're 3-11 right now. Arizona's also 3-11. Washington can't win a freaking game, and Marcus Mariota can't catch a break. He finally gets a chance to play, and he hurts his hand. I mean, Jesus. And so they lost again yesterday. So they're 4-11. New Orleans is 4-10. The team we're playing today at 1:00. So, and then you have Cleveland. Now, people who are knowledgeable Cleveland fans think they're taking, if they can, think they're taking yet another rookie quarterback this year. That's hard for me to believe, but that is the sort of educated fan opinion. Nothing coming out of Mary Kay Cabot to tell us that. She's still saying that Shador still, even with his poor performance last week, still has a chance to be the guy if he shows it over these last 3 games. I don't know if that's true, but that's what she's writing. That's what her sourcing says. So I don't know. This is a lot to think about. But Malik Willis is someone who's on the radar now, especially because he's going to get reps. Let's see how he does. I mean, we got to find out if Jordan Love's healthy, but if not, then let's see how Willis does down the stretch. He can make himself a lot of money. Yeah, he never moves well, Sunshine. That's part of the problem. He's not athletic. He doesn't have a great arm, and he's left-handed. I mean, there's so many negatives with this guy. He's got to be everything's got to be perfect around him. I mean, he's a backup. Can we just admit the guy's a backup? Like, it's not a sin to say this man is a backup. He doesn't have a strong arm. He's not athletic. He's injured all the time. He needs everything to be perfect, and therefore he is a backup. And if you have everything perfect and you have the fastest man on earth on your team and you have another super fast guy, Jalen Waddle, and other running backs who are amazing, and you have all this other stuff, then maybe he could be successful. That's what a backup is. That's what it is. Backups come in, and if everything else is good, they can hold down the fort. That's what Tua is at this point. That's what he is. And people just didn't want to see it because he put up a lot of yards that one year. Well, how many of those yards were Tyreek and Waddle running? Tyreek and Waddle, this is one of my biggest criticisms of quarterback stats. You know, you throw the ball 5 yards and a guy runs 80, you get 85 as a quarterback. You shouldn't get those. You didn't do that. You threw the ball 5 yards. You should get credit for the 5. You shouldn't get all of the yak. All the yak goodness should not accrue to the quarterback. He didn't do that. He just threw it 5 yards. Now, if you throw a bomb 80 yards, then you should get those. But that's why they say there's statistics. What do they say? Oh no, there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics. That's the quote. There's lies, damn lies, and then there's statistics. And statistics lie. That's why you need a grading system, to be honest. Yeah, no, that's incorrect. What are you talking about? Yeah, he was a great athletic quarterback before this. No, he was never athletic, dude. Stop it. Stop being stupid. Let's be smart instead. JoJo, surprised to find out, started it. Yeah. Yeah, he was a prodigy. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, he started out young, right, JoJo? But he wound up, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's kind of interesting. Maybe he's matured quicker than most, sort of thing. But at the same time, he's super young. He's 19 years old right now. He doesn't turn 20 until April. I mean, he's a baby. But look how advanced he is. It's incredible. Mr. Net Warrior, I don't want to sell the farm, so I'm hoping for a W today. Move us out of reasonable trade-up range. Okay, so you're saying you don't want to get a quarterback. Well, I guess we could keep losing, but some people want to win. Nobody knows what the Browns will do. They're a total loose cannon. I know. Mary Kay Abbott is probably the best source of information that we have on that. Plus, I like to watch the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I would shout them out. They're an excellent YouTube channel. And those people want to draft another quarterback. I mean, not Mary Kay. She's kind of saying Shador could still prove to be the guy. That's her latest intel. But I would say, yeah, I mean, a lot of decisions need to be made. First of all, you need to know if they're going to hang on to the coach and GM. If I were them, I would stick with them. But maybe they want to do a reset. I don't know. Then if they do a reset, the entire organizational philosophy changes, and you have no idea what they're going to do. It depends who they hire, how they feel about everybody, et cetera, et cetera. But the roster's damn good. What they really need is just some offensive linemen and some wide receivers. And then you just drop. I mean, Deshaun Watson's going to be on the roster in 26. That Mary Kay has said and makes perfect sense. So, Mary Kay, so you have Deshaun Watson. If you gave Deshaun Watson that roster plus a bulked-up offensive line and a couple of improved weapons on the outside in terms of wide receivers, why couldn't he be successful? And if that fails, then you try Shador. And if that fails, then you get another quarterback in 27. But so that's the way I could see it. Or you could just, you don't like all those options? All right. Well, why don't you just sign Marcus Mariota or something? Now you have 3 quarterbacks you could try. And again, bulk up the offensive line and get some. I mean, the thing they need the most is the wide receivers. It's hard for a quarterback to succeed with wide receivers who can't get open. So if you give them two wide receivers who can get open, free agency, draft, etc., plus you bulk up the offensive line, get better protection, why couldn't a Marcus Mariota or a Deshaun Watson or a Shador Sanders, why can't one of them be successful with that much talent around them on the roster? Rest of the roster is very talented. They have good tight ends, good running back, excellent defense. So I don't know why these people are all clamoring for another rookie. Because no matter how good the rookie is, whether it's Moore, Mendoza, whoever it may be, uh, they're probably going to have ups and downs. I mean, you could have a C.J. Stroud situation, but that's pretty rare. So why do you want to suffer another up and down season, waste another year of Myles Garrett's prime? I mean, Myles Garrett is a monster. How long is he going to be a monster going into the future? I mean, they've wasted so much of his career already. Same thing for Denzel Ward. Same thing for all these people. So if I were them, I would just bridge it. bridge it. Bridge it with a free agent. Shoot, go after Malik Willis. Bridge it with a free agent. If that free agent falls on his face, then you go to Deshaun. If Deshaun falls on his face, then you go to Shador. If one more time, and then if they all fall on their face, all right, then you draft one in 27. You got to try, I guess, in the draft. But I don't know. Spending a lot of capital to get a quarterback this year and then not being able to get a good separating wide receiver, sort of setting him up for failure and also getting him killed with an offensive line that's not great and getting old. So, Browns are an interesting case. Browns and Raiders, yeah, the Raiders are sort of the same thing. You could make the case they should bridge it because they have no talent on the team. You drop a rookie in there, you're setting him up for failure. Why not just bridge it? Use all your capital, trade back, use your capital to build up the team, then go get your quarterback. You have two bridge guys on the roster already, Geno Smith and Kenny Pickett. To me, they seem like a bridge candidate. And again, don't like those? All right, go get a Mariota. Go get a Malik Willis. Go get somebody like that. Do the bridge plan and then trade back and build up the line. They need offensive line. They need wide receiver. And what is a rookie quarterback going to do? Throw to Brock Bowers 30 times a game? You know, they're gonna take him away at some point. So, I mean, they have Ashton Genty, they have Brock Bowers, and Max Crosby. That's the whole team. You need a little more than that. You need a little more than that. That's what I say. It's kind of hard to win when you got like three players. And Colton Miller, I guess. Four players. Need 53 of them. You got four. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. How's that going to work? And drop a rookie in there, and then they don't know what to do? Get out of here. Jojo says, Simpson versus Mendoza in the Rose Bowl should be fun. Yeah, we'll have more. It's always good when you have one game and you can grade two quarterbacks that have consequence at the same time. It's a good use of your time. So, yeah, that'll be a fun game. We'll see. Simpson had kind of a bounce back game against Oklahoma. It wasn't looking good in the beginning. As those who joined me live, we did a live stream for that game. It was not looking good early on for the old Crimson Tide, but they pulled it together and pulled it out, and Ty Simpson made some great throws in that game. So, we'll have to see how it turns out, but it would be really nice if Simpson, there was a report that said that Simpson had some sort of a back injury when his play just went down the toilet. But with college, you never know these reports about injuries that could come from his agent. We don't know. But if it turns out that was the case, it was injury related, plus a lot of the people around him were injured, Cuevas and the offensive line and Jam Miller and this one and that one. Well, if that turns out to be the case, and then he shows you in the playoff, no, I'm back, I'm healthy, look what I can do, maybe he decides to come out because, remember, he's sort of the opposite. He's sort of in another interesting case, but in another way. because he's 23 years old, but he does not have a lot of starting experience. Now, when he was rolling early in the year, you might say, well, so what? I mean, his father is a head coach at the FCS level, I think it is. So he's grown up as a coach's son his whole life. We can overlook, the lack of experience. Well, then when his play went in the toilet, it was like, well, no, we can't take a chance on this now. So he's another interesting case. He's not even going to have, like Dante Moore will get up to 19, and then if he wins again, get up to 20 games at least. And if he goes to the championship, can get up to 21. He's not even going to get into the 20s. So, and the question with him is going to be like, Alabama has a 5-star behind him. Now, if he's playing at a high level, they'll probably want him back, I would guess. But they might, if he plays in this last game, they might be like, look, go to the draft, go ahead. Or if you don't want to do that, hit the portal, buddy. because we got this 5-star. We want to go with him. And he might have to hit the portal and then see who wants to take him, and then he'll be out of the NFL draft situation till next year. So another interesting case, but yeah, anytime you can get a twofer to do the grades, that's preferable. Definitely preferable. Quarterback threw it to the right yak guy. Yeah, he gets credit. Of course, he should get some credit. Yeah, but he shouldn't get a ton of credit. That's what the whole Frankie grading system is all about. If you throw an 80-yard pass that's a dime right in the bucket, you get a lot more credit than throwing a little routine pass. That's the whole point. Because when you throw a routine pass, you should get credit for a routine pass, and that has a number associated with it. But if you throw a deep ball perfectly, whether the guy catches it or not, you should get a lot of credit because that's on you. You did a great thing. You did an elite thing, and that should count more than the routine pass underneath check down. Routine passes are important. When you have a routine pass, you should hit them 100% of the time. And if you have a quarterback who can't do that, that's a problem. But yeah, you get credit for a routine pass. That's what you get. That has a number associated with it. Say, how many routine passes did you have? Oh, you had 10. Okay. Multiply by a factor. That equals this amount, this number. How many elite passes did you have? The elite passes are worth way more. They have a way higher multiplier because elite passes are harder to do by their very nature. And so we stratify these throws that you make. And that is how the system works. And that is why it's much more reliable than statistics. For example, Spin Max, Dave, you said Dante Moore threw 2 interceptions in the game, which he certainly did. But one was the receiver fell down and then dropped the ball, hit it up in the air, and the receiver and the defense got it. He shouldn't be. It was a perfect pass. He shouldn't be penalized for that. So in my system, he got a credit for a routine pass, but in the statistical section, that's an interception because my thing doesn't have to be a statistical representation of the game. But the second one was definitely on him, and so he got penalized for that. Interceptable passes are the worst type of passes you can throw. Interceptable, that doesn't mean they're intercepted. Similarly, if you throw the pass to the defense right at the linebacker, say, you just throw it right to him. You see these guys, that happened in the Alabama game. Mateer threw one right to the guy. But let's say the defender drops it. Statistically, that is not an interception. But in my system, that is interceptable because it's the same thing as if he caught it or dropped it. You, as a quarterback, your skill should be judged the same whether that guy dropped it or not, or caught it. See? So we categorize the skill and the actual performance based on how it should be done, and that's why you get differences than statistical output. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you guys something. At some point, this system is going to be so good that it's going to give me asymmetrical information about these quarterbacks. And because quarterback play is so, let's say, influential on who wins ball games, I think it's possible. And now I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it. But it's possible that I could have so much asymmetrical information that I could win a lot of money betting on football games because I will know information that other people do not know. But that is speculative at this point. I don't know if I'm actually going to do that. I don't like betting at all, really. But it may get to the point where it's so obvious to me that XYZ is going to happen. And then if I keep observing XYZ happening, but the entire world thinks ABC is going to happen, the opposite, I'm going to have an advantage. And it's going to be so much. It's possible that it's so much that I could become very wealthy, putting a lot of money on these games when I have the information, when other people have very different information. Because what you see on television and what you see in statistics, what you see here and there, it can all be very misleading. That's what I'm learning. So that's exciting. Jojo, fans still want to win at this point. Makes absolute zero sense to me. Yeah, at this point, you want the Jets, in my opinion, to play well, but then lose at the end. Play well. I want to see Brady Cook play well. I want the offensive line to hold up well. I want Breece Hall to run around. I want the defense to play, but I want us to just lose at the end. I don't want to get blown out and look like a bunch of chumps. But at this point, with as much at stake, there's so much incentive baked into this draft. Because don't forget, it's not just about the first pick, the first round pick. Every single round, you're at the top of the round. If you're, if you're really bad and you get up there, right? It's every single round. That is really a lot of incentive to not win games at the end if you're not going anywhere. Jojo says, wouldn't surprise me if Browns wait till 27. Yeah, but if they wait till 27, then they need to plan for 26. And if the plan now, I could understand if they say, well, what the plan for 26 is going to be Deshaun frickin' Watson. We're paying him all this money. We did all this to get him. Guy had 2 Achilles injuries, which is weird. And then when he did play, he wasn't good on the field. But what we're going to do, like that, this is what I'm saying. They could do nothing. They could just say, we're just going to pick wide receiver with our 4th pick, like a 4th overall pick. They pick Jordan Tyson. All right. Now they're looking good. They also have another pick, by the way, in the first round. So right now it's number 26. At pick number 26, they take, I don't know, Denzel Boston or whoever. Now I don't know if Judy's still going to be on the team next year, but if he is, now you got 3 wide receivers. And can't Deshaun or whatever quarterback you have be more successful with that level of wide receiver quality? That's what I would try to. Now, they also need offensive line, so maybe their second pick they would take an offensive lineman, and then in round 2 they would take another wide receiver, something like that. And that would be a situation where you go, well, we have a lot invested in the quarterback position already. We got 2 young guys that could probably be backups. I think Dylan Gabriel, probably profiles as a career backup anyway. Shador, we got to see. He's kind of high variance. He has some nice splash plays, but a lot of bad in between. But then they say, well, we got Deshaun. I mean, we're paying him all this money. We spent all this capital to get him here. Shouldn't we try him out with a better supporting cast and see if that could work? Because if it does, then they're all set. I mean, the defense is set. What else do they need besides offensive line and wide receiver? They don't need anything. I guess they have to decide whether they want to sign Njoku. But other than that, I mean, they got a loaded roster. I mean, it's really, one thing you could criticize Andrew Berry for very strongly is, how is this team 3-11? Well, I guess you would criticize Stefanski. How is this team 3-11? They have a lot of talent. Now, Andrew Berry's drafting has not been great except for the last one, but in the last one he kind of killed it. I mean, so that's a talented roster. I don't understand how they have 3 wins, even with the quarterback problems. I don't get it. And that's the case you would make if you wanted to fire Stefanski. Like, this team is way too talented to have 3 wins, Kevin. But They may say, well, yeah, but did you see the quarterbacks we had? So I don't know. It's the same thing. To me, the Browns and the Raiders are at the same place. You might as well bridge it for a year and bulk up the team. Cleveland could be a contender with a decent quarterback and bulked up line and wide receivers. The Raiders just need so much talent, it doesn't make sense to drop a rookie in there now, in my opinion. He's probably not going to be successful. Again, what is he going to do? Throw to Brock Bowers 30 times a game? You can't do that. So both of those guys, both of those teams seem like bridge candidates to me. But again, I don't know. These teams do weird things. Jet 41 is here. Best case scenario is we look somewhat respectable and lose out. Right. You want to look good and lose. We want the players to look good, especially the O-line would be the most important thing. But also like A.D. Mitchell. You want A.D. Mitchell to look like a real deal, like he's fulfilling his potential finally. John Mechie, same thing. Like he could be a good, productive little slot receiver. Because then we get Garrett Wilson back, and let's say we want to get a free agent. And they say, well, you guys stink. Why am I going to go play for you? Well, one of the reasons is opportunity. But then we could say, look, we're going to get Garrett Wilson back. Look what A.D. Mitchell did. Hopefully he puts up some numbers here last 3 games so he looks like something. Same thing with Mechie. We got Isaiah Williams, and don't forget, we're going to use our second first-round pick for a wide receiver. Now we got a great wide receiver room. We got Mason Taylor. Let's say we sign Breece Hall back. We got Breece Hall. We got Isaiah Davis. We got Braylon Allen. We got a decent offensive line. Let's see what we do at guard. So opportunity, and look at the team around you. Pretty good for a team that stinks. So, and that's also make the same case for a rookie quarterback. It's not a bad offense, really. It's not that bad. I mean, we need some things. It's not perfect. We do need A.D. Mitchell to prove he can be the guy. We do need Mechie to stop dropping the ball. But he looked good in the last game. And then, we're going to get Garrett Wilson back, so you can count on that. Mason Taylor would be nice if he looked good. He should be back next week. He's not playing today. But you could say, look, it's really not that bad. And then whatever else we add in the draft and free agency, it's a pretty good situation. Jets Worldwide. How do elite catches affect elite passes? They don't. If you throw a dog shit pass and your receiver makes a circus catch, you don't get a good grade as a quarterback. You threw a dog shit pass. If you throw the ball behind, you get a bad grade. There's a category called bad. But you shouldn't be throwing the ball behind. That annoys me the most out of anything. But if you throw behind and the guy makes a circus catch, you don't get credit for that. Why should you get credit for that? That was a bad pass. We're not outcome-oriented here. What we are is process-oriented, which means if you make a good pass and the guy drops it, you should get credit. If you make a bad pass and the guy makes a circus catch, you shouldn't get credit for that. You threw a bad pass. We're grading your throwing. It's the throwing that matters the most. Mr. Net Warrior, once you gamble, you lose your perspective. Well, I wouldn't want to, but it's like if this system is so good, is as good as I think it might be, it might be too tempting, Mr. Net Warrior. If I can make a ton of money, it's going to be tempting to not, to not do it. I mean, how am I going to, it is kind of funny. It's funny. It's frustrating. It's kind of amazing when you have a system that tells you accurately what somebody is, and then you go and see the narratives out there about that same player, and you're like, what? That's not what he is. And then they use statistics to justify it, or he's got the clutch gene. He comes up clutch. Now, the clutch thing is kind of interesting because clutch gene is not a skill. It's not something you can see. It's not somebody doing something. It's not an action somebody takes. But there is something to it, I think. So that's something kind of interesting that goes against my system a little bit. guys like Bo Nix and Caleb Williams, it looks like, and like Patrick Mahomes, seems like they play better when the game's on the line. Like they could have, especially like Bo Nix and Caleb Williams, they could have a dog shit game for 3.5 quarters. Then in the fourth quarter, at the end, they just come up big with these miracle plays. There's something to that. That's just weird. Like, why couldn't you do that the whole game, buddy? You know what I mean? Like, why you got to wait all the way to the end? We could have blown these fuckers out. You got to wait till the fourth quarter, end of the fourth quarter, to do these heroics. Just do them in the beginning. We'd be much better off. But my system doesn't really have something for that. You can make a note of it in this, like a scouting note. But uh, if you make an elite throw in the fourth quarter to win the game, it's still just one elite throw that you made. So that's and in a way that's good because you don't want to overvalue that. The guy made an elite throw, okay, he gets an elite throw. But people will overvalue the elite throw. Like last night, that was an elite throw by Caleb Williams in overtime against the Packers. It was 55 yards in the wind, and cold, and the game on the line, and he threw a dot and put it right in the basket for DJ Moore. That's an elite throw. So in my system, he gets an elite throw, and that counts. Has a high multiplier, and that's good. But people act like he should be in the Hall of Fame now because because he did that one thing. So on the one hand, there is something to clutch gene, and there is something to doing things when in the highest stakes, when it matters the most and all that. There is something to that, but at the same time, you also don't want to overvalue that. You want to look at the entire game and say, how did he play in this game overall, not just remembering one amazing play at the end. So it's kind of interesting. Spin Max Dave, playoff winners, Miami and Alabama were picked over Notre Dame. NCAA playoff going to get it right this time. However, Tulane and JMU were wasted selections. Yeah, I don't think that the G5 teams should be in the P4 playoffs. I think there should be a P4 playoffs and a G5 playoffs. And then, just like Nick Saban said, just give the G5 schools the money that they would make if they were in the P4, whatever amount that is. Just give it to them. Here you go. And let's just have a P4 playoff and a G5 playoff. Why is that so hard? It would make it a lot easier on the committee. Because if you think about it, in reality, probably Notre Dame and let's say Texas, you can make a case for BYU maybe, should have been in instead of those two G5 teams, and the games would have been much better. Much better. I mean, JMU showed some fight at the end of the game last night, but that was a blowout. So that's what I think. Green Bean, no, I will not be with Green Bean, and I will not be with Green Bean for the rest of the year. Yes, I have many, many things to do, so we cannot, unfortunately, join Green Bean on these programs. With all these first-round picks, JoJo says, I would not mind trading back and getting more draft capital after we get the quarterback. That's an interesting idea. But, of course, we got to get the quarterback first. So whatever happens there is going to determine what we can do later. I mean, we might have to give up this 18th pick. Right now, we have the 18th pick overall. Right now, we have 5 and 18. So Indianapolis, we got to hope they keep losing, of course, so that becomes more valuable. But right now, it's 18th. So this 18th pick might need to be included in a deal to move up. Might be. We don't know. So in terms of strategy and what we do, we unfortunately got to wait till the season's over, and then we can start to really solidify, all right, this is what we're going to do. But right now, too many variables to know. But we do have 2 firsts. We do have 2 seconds. We got 3 firsts next year. And that's what's interesting. Now, let's say we didn't take a quarterback. What might we do? Well, I did a mock draft last night where let's say we didn't need a quarterback because I started thinking about Malik Willis. He had, a lot of people were starting to speculate about Malik Willis. So let's say we signed Malik Willis and we gave him a lot of money and we really believe in Malik Willis. Okay? To the point where we can't move up. The teams who are at the top want the two guys. We can't get them. So we're just going to roll with Malik Willis. All right? Perhaps not the best, but what would our draft look like if we didn't need a quarterback? This is how the mock draft went. Round 1, pick 5, Arvell Reese. Basically the number 1 player in the whole draft. We get him. Then at 18, we picked Denzel Boston, wide receiver. Then round 2, I picked defensive tackle Amari Washington. Then the 46th pick, round 2, safety A.J. Halsey, LSU. We need a safety really bad. Round 4, 105, Akeem Mesidor, Miami. You saw him creating havoc yesterday. Edge player. So now the defense is getting stocked. Then the next pick, round 4, 139, guard DJ Campbell. So now there's our guard. Round 6, linebacker Drake Bowen. Round 6, tight end Marlon Klein. So we get our third tight end, Marlon Klein out of Michigan. Then in round 7, I don't know how he was available, but he was Aiden Fisher out of Indiana. So don't ask me, ask PFF how Aiden Fisher's around in the 7th round, but we got him. And then we got a cornerback, Jerry Wilson, and a safety, VJ Payne. So that's the kind of thing you can do if you don't need a quarterback. But, of course, we do. So now, speaking of free agency, I don't know, dudes. It could be that they're learning as they go along. My suspicion, though, is that most of those guys are mobile and the defense is just tired of chasing them around. Because if you look at how they do it, they're mostly running around. This is Mahomes, too. They're mostly running around laterally, waiting, and somebody comes open and they make a dime throw. So it's really just about tiring out the defense, in my opinion. Because they're mostly mobile guys who just scramble around. They're hard to handle. And then at some point in the game, they make the throw that they didn't earlier. Now, we do have a new column out from Dick Chimney, and it's quite instructive, actually. So let's go through this. Dick Chimney, the headline is Jets linebacker Quincy Williams could be parting ways in offseason, which we all knew. Williams a goner. So he actually got quotes from Quincy that are actually quite enlightening. It says, while the former All-Pro linebacker is open to returning to the Jets, he said scheme fit will be a huge factor. In other words, he's in wait-and-see mode. Quote, when I'm in the right defense, I ball out, Williams told ESPN. I don't know why he has to say Williams told ESPN. He told Rich, but I guess makes it more official. Quote, that's my main thing. This offseason is going to be about getting put in the right defense, making sure I'm in the right defense. If that's at the Jets, that'll be good. It depends on the D coordinator they bring in and the defense they run. I'm going to take all that into consideration. This year has taught me that being in the right defense is important. To succeed, it doesn't have to do with your capability, your talent. The defense has to fit you also. Williams wouldn't say the current system is a bad fit for him, but he acknowledged that defensive coordinator Steve Wilks, fired last Monday, asked him to do, quote, a lot of different stuff than he did previously in the Robert Saleh scheme. That is so bad. That is such an indictment on Steve fucking Wilks. Instead of using his speed, this is Chimney writing now, instead of using his speed in a sideline-to-sideline fashion, Williams said he's, quote, more stationary and more vertical in the current system. Frankie comment. In other words, they made him a thumper. So dumb. There's basically two types of linebackers, thumpers and runners. He's a runner. He can hit hard, as we all know. But his main thing is his speed. Why would you turn him into a thumper? So dumb. His tackling numbers are down. He has a career-high 3.5 sacks. Flourished. You can say my bad year is better than some people's good years, he said, but I'm hard on myself. Well, so that's all very interesting. So basically what this tells us is that Steve Wilks and Glenn deserves some blame here too, looked at the roster and made terrible, terrible decisions. Because the best thing a coach really does is self scout the players you have and then implement a system that allows them to be successful. What we've seen here too long is coaches that are stubborn and they just think their system will fit any players. Anybody can come in and do this. No, no. So dumb. And I think what we're going to find out about Aaron Glenn now is really how he reacts to this is going to tell us a lot. Because he obviously, it's been obvious to me that Steve Wilkes basically talked him into running more of the Wilkes system. And as we see from Quincy, as we see from the results, as we see from all these things, somewhere in here, it also says, it also says, good God, I thought it was in here. But basically, all the players at all levels, not just Quincy, were very, very unhappy with the system that Wilkes put into play. But, so Glenn has to decide. What I would do if I were him, I would just implement the Glenn system, whatever he was running in Detroit, but hire, a defense coordinator that's in line with that and will run the Glenn system. Glenn doesn't have to run it. Glenn doesn't have to call the plays. Just run the basic Glenn system. Whatever he was running in Detroit. That seemed to work once he got enough players, good players. So I think now we'll see if Glenn learns from that mistake. If he brings in someone with some bizarre, thing and it doesn't work again, then Glenn's going to be in trouble. But I'm hoping that he learns from this. I think Wilkes just talked him out of probably his instincts, and that turned out to be a big mistake. So let's see how Glenn responds to this moving forward. Now, the other thing is he talks about free agents, and this is also instructive. He names three at the top: Brees, AVT, and Nick Folk. He said Folk will talk over with his family if he wants to continue his career. It says in here, the Jets are interested in retaining Vera Tucker. So AVT looks like we're going to make him an offer, and we'll see what he wants to do. Hard to gauge his market value because of injury history. Then Brees Hall sputtering toward the finish. He hasn't been putting up big numbers lately, but a lot of that is because teams are stacking the box against us, as we all know. It says in here, the Jets want him back, but at what price? So in here, I think Chimney is relaying the Jet intentions through the Jets. He's not saying that, but reading through the tea leaves, that we want these three back. I think the Jets want Folk, Hall, and AVT back. But Folk may retire. Hall may want to try for free agency, though he's not putting on, the numbers he's putting up are not exactly going to make people go crazy for him in the free agent market. So if the Jets give him a good deal, he should probably take it. And then, and then AVT. And AVT's, we'll probably give him an incentive-laden deal, but I don't know if he's going to want to take that. Then he talks about, who's going to run the defense. May sperm. So he says that he will probably take more of a role on the defense, even if he's not calling plays. In the end, his degree of involvement could come down to the quality of the coordinator candidates. But we did have two first-timers who did really good. Chris Banjo turned out to be a home run hire. Amazing. He might win Assistant Coach of the Year, Chris Banjo. Special teams has been phenomenal. That was a first-time coach. Tanner Engstrom, reviews are more mixed, but didn't have good quarterback play. Offensive line was a little spotty, especially the beginning of the year before they gelled. Um, Garrett got hurt, but a lot of people are looking at the film and saying, no, this Tanger Angstrom has it right. The concept he's running are right. If they get the right personnel, they'll be good. He's a first timer. So I wouldn't be opposed to them giving the job to Chris Harris, another first timer. I think these days you need a young coach who's going to provide schematic fluidity. He's not going to be so stuck in his ways. This is how we did it in 1997. You don't need that. Like, the ubiquity of film has changed a lot in football. Everybody has the film. So you need to constantly be changing and adapting and doing different things. If you're not into that, you're going to get exposed, I think. Chris Harris, he talks about good luck charm. Oh, he talks about the interception. Let's hope we get an interception today. Just so people can stop talking about it. Brady Cook, so something good that happened that we learned. Samini says Brady Cook didn't generate a lot of pre-draft buzz last spring. He participated in the scouting combine, but only had one pre-draft visit. The Jets. He said a few teams expressed interest in signing him as a free agent, but he picked the Jets because he felt alignment with them during his visit. And that, to me, is a good use of the 30 visits, when it comes down to UDFAs, they got choice, and he chose us. So he was ranked number 323 by Scouts Inc. So, yeah, but he's the type of guy, a lot of experience, SEC, put up some decent numbers. That's the type of guy you should look at for a UDFA. And bring him in, talk to him. If everything checks out mentally, you like him, personality-wise, etc., that's a good use of the 30 visits. We'll see if he works out. Jets have a 7% chance at the number one pick per ESPN Analytics. And then something nice about Adonai Mitchell. Wide receiver Adonai Mitchell has impressed the coaches with his work ethic. Typically, he's one of the first players at the facility, arriving just before 7 a.m. to eat breakfast and study his playbook. He stays after practice to catch 150 balls a day on the jugs machine. The early returns are encouraging. Since making his Jets debut in Week 11 after being traded by the Colts, Mitchell has 18 receptions for 236 yards and 2 touchdowns in 5 games. And, of course, he gave the ball back to the quarterback after doing his little celebration. He remembered he had to get the ball and bring it back to the quarterback for Cook's first touchdown pass in the NFL. So also very nice of Adonai Mitchell. So that's what Chimney has to say. But this column here has a lot of nuggets in it. Usually it's a lot of fluff, but here you're seeing some actual nuggets. Now, one of the things, Quincy might come back. He's open to coming back. But he's probably going to wind up back with Saleh or Ulbrich or something like that, probably. But he's open to coming back, especially if they're going to use him properly. So we'll have to see about that. But I think it's very enlightening that basically Wilkes misused these people. And Glenn let him. That's not good. That's not good at all. So that's the square pecks in round holes. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with coaching is knowing what you got and then how to use them. This idea that you're going to come up with some brilliant fucking scheme that's going to work no matter who you got, that's ridiculous, especially these days with film being everywhere. AG should have noticed this about Williams and stepped in. Well, you figure it's not just Williams. It's probably everybody. And yeah, the rookie head coach, but give him credit, he did step in eventually and fired his ass. Did it take too long? Probably, but I don't know. Maybe they were having battles behind the scene, and Wilkes was like, I'm telling you, it's going to work. I'm telling you. Glenn was like, So, look, he's a rookie head coach. He's going to make mistakes, as I keep saying. But let's see how he learns from the mistakes. That's what's going to define him in addition to the quarterback decisions that they make. All right, so There we go. That's the latest. Let's see if there's any late breaking news. No, nothing from the Jet beat writers. Let's see if there's anything in the NFL going on. The insiders are reporting that Raiders coach Pete Carroll's future is in doubt, but that the Bengals coach Zach Taylor is not on the hot seat. They're reporting, of course, that Aaron Glenn will return, which we already know. It's already been reported strongly and makes total sense. Could help clinch. Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins, good to go today. The Browns. Oh, the Browns are playing the Bills. Oh, boy. The Browns. We want the Browns to win. It's 28 degrees. Feels like 14 in Cleveland, in case you're wondering. So maybe Josh Allen will be too cold to run around. I don't know. Jordan David, crucial stretch for the Bucks. So yeah, it doesn't seem like any late breaking news NFL wise or Jets wise. So we will call it a day. Thank you for joining on Coffee with Frankie. I'm Frankie from Flatbush. Please consider joining the Inner Circle and also subscribing to this channel and just giving a like. Hit that like button as the Jets prepare for the Nathan Shepard revenge game. You'll get to see Tyler Shuck. I think he's their franchise QB. We'll see if he continues his recent run of very good games against us. As always, we'll be doing the drive charts, and Inner Circle members also get those. And we'll be doing, for Inner Circle and Inner Triangle and Inner Square members, I'm also going to be doing it's going to be an interesting video using the Frankie data from these drive charts, because now we can break up the season between Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, and Brady Cook. And so that's going to be an interesting members-only video where we see who has really run the offense the best, according to, Frankie metrics, which is pretty close to EPA. So we could have used EPA, but we'll do some charts. We'll do some graphs, we'll have a lot of stuff to take a look and say, hey, is Brady Cook something? Because if you think about it, if Brady Cook runs the same offense with the same personnel pretty much, and let's say he does it at a higher rate than Fields and Taylor did, well, maybe we got a QB2 backup on our hands. Maybe we got a QB2 backup. But thank you for joining. Let's hope the Jets play well and lose, because we really need to improve the draft positioning as we move forward, because we need a lot of talent on this team. All right. Thank you, everybody. See you next time. Have a good one.